And so to share some exciting updates here, I'd like to invite Jonathan Ballon from the IoT group to talk about it with us. Jonathan. How you doing?
Thanks, Naveen. It's true. I think everyone's aware the growth of data is exponential. And the latest stat that I saw, which I found from a credible source, suggests that in 5 years, we will, as humans and machines, create 10 times more data than we did this year. And what's interesting about that is that 70% of that data is being created at the edge, in the real world, in places like hospitals and factories. And increasingly, that data will be processed, stored, and analyzed close to the source, which is at the edge. And there's all the reasons you would expect, everything from data sovereignty and security to bandwidth availability and communication costs. But increasingly, latency is a really important factor for customers that are deploying solutions at the edge, because as much as 30% of this data will require some form of real-time processing. And it's processing this volume of data and this velocity of data that really requires a new approach, an approach that is significantly more efficient than current options. And for that reason, we're building purpose-built products and tools. And as you can see from this subset of customers behind me, customers are rapidly adopting AI at the edge because the economic and social advantages are just too large to ignore. And it's happening in every industry, from smart cities to industrial, healthcare, and retail. And up until now, our edge portfolio has been tremendously popular with customers and developers because it makes the investment that they have in their existing infrastructure and the experience they have with Intel even more valuable. And so today, we're going to talk about the hardware and software innovations that not only accelerate AI performance, but do so while making it a lot easier to attain. And so we'll talk about 3 announcements today specifically. The first is that we're thrilled to have a new product, if I can hold it, it's so small, that will dramatically change the experience at the edge. This is the Movidius next generation vision processing unit, codenamed Keem Bay. Keem Bay is a low power, high performance edge inferencing product that we're going to be launching in the first half of 2020. And the architecture is built specifically for the edge. It's built for deep learning, it's built for vision and media. And one example of this new architecture is its on-chip memory and 64-bit memory bandwidth that ensures that the processor is fully utilized. And when you combine this with other unique innovations that we have in the product, we're seeing raw throughput performance of 10x more than the last generation Myriad X. And it's a workhorse. I mean, Naveen talked about being able to use it as a chip-down solution in cameras, but it also can go into a variety of form factors like an M.2 card that can be used in robotics or kiosks, all the way up to full power PCIe cards, where we can put multiple VPUs on a card and get parallel, high-density, scalable edge AI acceleration. And this will really unlock the VPU for a wide range of applications that our customers are asking for. And where things get really interesting is when you look at it compared to our perceived competition. So in early testing, first of all, Keem Bay is fast, okay? We're seeing 4x the performance of NVIDIA's comparable product, the TX2, and it's 25% faster than HiSilicon's comparable Ascend 310. Now, Xavier has a flagship product called Xavier which is actually a tier above Keembay. It's a 30-watt part. But we're getting on-par performance with Xavier at 1/5 the power. And that's really key. Because at the edge, performance is important, of course. But customers also care about power, size, and increasingly latency. And from a power point of view, Keembay is green. It's delivering over 6x the inference performance per second per watt over the TX2. And it's also small. And so when you measure inferences per second by millimeter squared, Keembay is 8.7 times the TX2, and Xavier is also far behind by this metric. And finally, when we talk about purpose-built for AI, a great way of thinking about that is efficiency, which is measured by the inferences per second per top. And by this metric, Keembay is 4 times the inferences per second per top than Xavier, NVIDIA's flagship product. So rather than taking products that were designed for a different purpose, we are purpose building the types of products and software that the data explosion that Naveen talked about will require. And when you combine this with the OpenVINO toolkit, customers willing to retrain their model and take advantage of the full DL architecture of Keembay can get an additional 50% more performance not shown here on the chart. I would say that these are preliminary numbers, so as we continue to optimize the software stack, we expect that these numbers will only get better. But it's not just about silicon innovation. We also believe in democratizing AI. We believe that AI shouldn't be limited to those companies that have the most sophisticated engineers or the most vast computing resources. We believe that easy-to-use tools like the open source OpenVINO are key to a level playing field. What OpenVINO is a development tool and a runtime to enable customers to write their neural network model once and run it on any Intel hardware at maximum performance. With OpenVINO, highly performant systems are now available to people that don't necessarily need to have an understanding of hardware architecture or electrical engineering. From factory technicians on a manufacturing floor to radiologists in a hospital environment to data scientists and application developers. It's really about creating broad access and applicability. And so today, we're launching a new companion to OpenVINO, the Edge AI Dev Cloud. And here's how it works. Developers can use the existing tools and frameworks that they already know and love. And they can take those and optimize them in OpenVINO automatically for any Intel landing zone. Next, once they have that model optimized for an edge deployment, they often ask us, what's the right hardware for this to land on? Is it a core with an accelerator? Is it a Xeon? What have you? And so today, with the launch of the Edge AI Dev Cloud, customers will now be able to model and simulate in the DL Workbench tool that we launched over the summer the performance of their model, and then deploy it for free in the Dev Cloud on a variety of different hardware configurations to find out what the best hardware landing zone is for them. We've been in beta with the Dev Cloud for the last several months. We have over 2,700 customers that are using the Dev Cloud today, and they are loving it. The next thing that developers do is they need to deploy. And with the OpenVINO runtime, they can take into account the entire capability of the full system and allow customers to achieve automatic software-defined parallelism in every core of the CPU, the integrated GPU, the accelerator if they're using one, and achieve much higher performance than a discrete GPU for inference. And last, it's not just about building a solution or an algorithm. Our developers and customers need to be able to deploy at scale. And so we've opened up our AI in production ecosystem program to them that matches solution developers with ODMs, with systems integrators, and other players so that they can get easy deployment at scale. And there's one more thing. For too long, all of the education and training around AI has been targeted towards cloud developers. And so today, what we're announcing is the first Edge AI nano degree with Udacity. This will train the next generation of developers on how to do AI where the data is generated at the edge. And we're launching 750 scholarships in the Udacity program at launch, and much of those will be made available to women who code because we believe we need to create more opportunities for women in technology, and especially within AI. So just to wrap it up, some key takeaways. First is that Keembay is a groundbreaking, purpose-built AI architecture for inference at the edge. It has superior performance and efficiency when it launches in the first half of 2020. It will deliver better than GPU performance at a fraction of the power, a fraction of the size, and a fraction of the cost on comparable products. And it complements our full portfolio of products, tools, and services purpose-built for the edge. Now, this portfolio, including OpenVINO and the new Dev Cloud for the Edge, makes AI accessible to everyone, not just the experts and companies with fleets of data scientists. And they can get started with the first Edge AI nano degree with Udacity, starting now. And each one of these advances, each one of these announcements, taken individually, are driving huge benefit and value to our customers. But when employed collectively, they're an unparalleled set of resources to aim to make Edge AI available to every customer at every size across every industry without massive investments in infrastructure, talent, or capital. And with that, I'd like to hand it back to Naveen.
Thank you, JB. Appreciate it.